Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Thanks for joining me today. I am showing you another project from Stamp Club. This is from the month of June in 2026. Now there are 3 tutorials that you can find. 2 are cards and 1 is a cute little summertime treat. So this is one of the cards and then you can find the other tutorial for the other card and then of course the little treat. So we're going to be making this card. I really am enjoying the softness of this, the colors, the flowers. I think it's a very pleasant looking card. And let's talk about all the pieces that we need and then let's go ahead and create. All right, so I've got a variety of pieces of paper that we need to begin with our project. So my card base is Cloud Cover, which is one of the 25 to 2027 in colors. So this is my card base, 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And I've already scored it and folded it at 4.25 inches. Then we have a white piece that is slightly smaller. This piece is 4 inches by 5.25. Then I have another piece of colored cardstock. This is Cloud Cover again. And this one measures 3.25 by 4.5. So that's going to be another mat here on the front of the card. And then a final piece of white for the front that is 3 inches by 4.25 inches. So those are the measurements for that. Now, I also have a piece of Cloud Cover Designer Series paper. This was from an in color variety pack of papers. And the strip that I have prepared is 1.5 inches by 5.25 inches. I didn't have that written down here, but listen to my voice. 1.5 by 5.25. Then I do have an extra white piece, 4 inches by 5.25, just like this one. That is going to be the inside panel for this particular card. Now, aside from that, you're going to do some stamping and die cutting. So we need a scrap, but it's a pretty large scrap. Mine is 4 inches, 5 by 4.25 is about what it is. All right, and so we're going to do our stamping on here and our die cutting, and then we can put the card together. So for our stamping, we are going to use a couple of the newest in colors. We're going to be using Peaceful Pine, Garden Glow, and also Barely Blush, which is a very, very, very soft pink. Not one that I will probably grab very often. I really like Bubble Bath, but it is a lovely color. Just know it's super, super soft, and we are kind of leaning into that in today's card. All right, we are going to do a couple of flowers, and I'm pulling these from Boutique Blossoms, and this is available as a bundle. So there are coordinating dies. And then when we get to the word stamp, I will be using Scalloped Blooms to pull our sentiment. All right, so we're going to start with that Barely Blush. And the first thing that I'm going to do this time is stamp the outline of my flower. Now, sometimes with two-step stamping, I like to stamp the bolder kind of background part of the image first, followed by the outline. But in this case, I like to put the outline down first, especially because it's such a light color. It's going to be hard to see otherwise. So I'm going to pick up my Barely Blush and stamp. And I'm going to get a second one. We need 2 for our card. All right, now I'm going to next take the filler, the inside of that same image. I'm going to pick up my Barely Blush ink, and then I'm going to stamp it off on a piece of scratch paper. This is just a piece of copy paper. But here's the thing. If I stamp it like I normally would, pressing down, and then stamp on here, it's almost invisible because the color itself is just so light. So what I'm going to What I'm going to do is, even though I'm going to stamp it off, I'm going to do it really lightly. Like I'm just going to lay the stamp down. All right. I don't know if you can hear in the background, my Yorkies are feisty, especially Cabby. I just fed them before I came into my studio to record. And I tell you, after eating, they get all wound up. So I have one at my feet scratching to get up with me, and I have one barking for me to play. So I'm sorry that I paused a minute there to grab her toy and toss it. All right, picking up the ink, I'm just going to barely lay it down. So I took a little ink off, but not as much as that. And then I'm going to line up my stamp and press. So it's going to be very soft, but it's there. Cabby, you're noisy today. I hear you. All right, there's our 2 pink flowers, and we are done with Barely Blush. Now we need a flower made with Golden Glow, and we're going to do the one that looks like a rose to me. And because I started with this process, I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to do the outline of this flower first. And then for the inside, we will do our stamping off. And because this has a little bit more color to it, we don't have to worry about how softly we do it so that we don't get zero color. All right, so picking up my Golden Glow, stamping off on my scratch paper, and then onto the cardstock, looking down through the clear block and the clear stamp to line it up and place it. And that is lovely. All right, we need some leaves as well. So we're going to continue with our method. Moving on to Peaceful Pine. And I'm going to stamp the outline of the set of 3 leaves. And we're going to use 2 of those. And I want to leave a little bit of space because we are going to die cut these out. So you don't want your images crowded, otherwise you won't have room for your dies. And I'm going to do the single leaf twice. And there's that outline. All right, now we can put the filler inside the leaves. So I'm going to stamp my Peaceful Pine ink off and into the leaf. Very easy to line up. And the little trio. And one more time. All right, we've got our stamped images. And the next thing that needs to happen is the die cutting. So I'm not going to do the die cutting on camera. I've done it ahead of time, but I will show you, and I want to talk to you about a couple things when you line up these particular dies. So this one is pretty easy to figure out where it goes. There's a rather pointy petal here, and it's going to go right there. So that's easy to line up. Then we have the other flower, and it's pretty easy to tell what direction it goes. For the leaves, I would recommend these you might do fine without taping them down to hold them. For the leaves, I would recommend that you place and tape it down using your low tack tape or a Post-it note, just so it doesn't slide, because you really want the leaves, the crispness of the edges, and you just don't want this to slide a teeny bit and then it's off. So I would tape that down before sending it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And the same thing with this small leaf. I would get it right exactly where I want it, tape it down with a little bit of tape, and then run it through the machine. All right, so you'll have to do the small leaf twice, this flower twice, and the trio of leaves twice, and that will give us our die cuts. So we have our leaves. You can see on this one, I did not tape this one, okay? So this is a good lesson learned. And you can see it slipped a little. I've got a little more white space there than I would usually be happy with. I would do this one over again, but we're going to go ahead and use it because this is going to get tucked in and it's not going to make that big of a difference. But that is why I really encourage and recommend that you tape your dies down, especially on the leaves, so they don't move. All right, here's our flowers, and we've got one more here. I can't pick it up. There we go. All right, there's our die cuts, stamped and cut. Now let's proceed with putting our card together. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue this large white piece, the 4 by 5¼ to the front. Okay, this is going to give us a little white background against the cloud cover. Like so. Then I'm going to take the smaller white and the other cloud cover piece, and I'm going to attach those together. I'm leaving a little border. As you can see, the sizing is very nice so that you get that beautiful border of cloud cover all the way around the white. All right, now before this piece goes onto the card front, we want to go ahead and attach the DSP. So this is going to go near the bottom. You can leave a little bit of white space here, but you don't want to go up too high or it will almost completely be covered. You do want it to show a teeny bit at the bottom. But I also want that layer to show. So I don't want to scoot it all the way to the edge. I just want to leave a little bit of white showing. Let's try that. That's a little less white than I did on my other sample. So we'll see which one we like best when it's all said and done. Okay, that is done. And now we can go ahead and put this piece onto the card front. So you can see this part goes fast. It's really easy to attach all your layers, but with the matting behind the white piece, it looks really stunning. All right, and I'm checking my right, left, top, and bottom borders. Let's go with that. All right, now one thing we could have done is our stamping on here before we glued it, which is always the best method in case you make a mistake. But I did not stamp ahead of time, so we're going to stamp it right now and trust that it comes out exactly how we need it. I'm going to stay with my Peaceful Pine ink. And using the Thinking of You stamp, this is going to go at the top in the center of this white layer. So as I said, it would be much smarter if you stamp this onto that white piece before you glue it all together. That way, if there's a mistake, you haven't ruined the whole card front. And we are okay. All right, now we're going to build our little spray of flowers so you can play with it and kind of see what you like. My design has a pink one on each side, one a little lower, one a little higher. My golden glow one is going to go in the middle. Right now I'm just doing a dry fit to get an idea where I want all this to go. This is the one with a little, is this the one? This is the one with a little extra. I guess they both have a little extra white because I didn't tape them. This is the one that has that extra white here. So I'm going to use that as my one to tuck. It is going to go under here and see, you're never going to know. And then this one is going to be peeking out from somewhere over here. Again, we're just testing it out. And then we still have our 2 little green leaves that we will tuck in as well. All right, so I'm going to just kind of build left to right, and I'm going to get this leaf. Actually, I'm going to get my flower on first, and then we'll tuck the leaf. So in order to do that, I want to make sure that I don't have a lot of glue on the edges of these petals, because I want to be able to tuck the leaves in. So I'm going to go with my pink flower like so. And then I'm able to tuck this in because I didn't glue the edges of the flower down, and it slides right in there like so. All right, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. That's what we'll do, and then we'll put the one in the middle. Let's attach the flower. Only glue in the middle. That will hold it just fine. I'm going to come up a little bit higher and angle it to the right. And then take my next little trio of leaves, and I'm going to tuck it under here like so. I can actually put a tiny bit of glue right there. Okay, we've got that. That's shaping up nicely. And for this flower, I want to use some dimensionals. So let's grab, I'm going to use the full size dimensionals, and I will put, I'm going to put 2 on here. 1 would probably hold it just fine, but I'm going to put 2 for extra measure. And again, because my adhesive is only in the middle, I've got all the space around the outside where I can tuck in my leaves. All right, and here is this beautiful flower, like so. All right, and then you can decide with these last 2. I can imagine that some of you are going to want to do one here and one there. That's lovely. You might be able to get by, let's see here, with one down here if you wish. I am going to put both of mine together, kind of going up and to the right of my flower. So you can decide on the placement. I'm sure whatever you pick is going to be lovely. I'm going to do one there. And the second one kind of overlapping like so. All right, we are definitely going to add some little embellishments to the front of this, but you can see the soft gray, the softness of the pink and the yellow, the golden glow is quite lovely. Let's stamp on the inside. So take that other piece of white cardstock that you have ready for you, and we're going to go back to Barely Blush because it's just not going to get a lot of attention, but on today's card it is. So what I'm going to do for the inside is use a small flower. This one is from the same stamp set, and I'm going to use this and the outline, but I'm not going to line the flowers up. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to take the full, like the inside part of the flower first, then we'll follow it up with the outline, but not trying to line it up at all. So down this right side of my paper, my cardstock, I'm going to just put random, some full strength, some, well, we probably have to do all full strength. It's very, very light, so we better just go full strength and in just a random little pattern. I just want to fill that right margin. Then with the outline, we're just going to kind of go in between. So I'm not doing anything to line these up. I'm just filling. And there we have it. So it just looks like a little blush spray of flowers. This is now ready to go on the inside of the card. And then we'll grab our rhinestones and bling up the front a little bit. All right, there is that. My rhinestones, my gems are just out of reach. So sit tight, count to 3 or 4 while I get up and grab these. I'm wondering if they are in They are. They're in a different bin that we're using in club, and it is not even in the room. So, um, I'll show you the other card that has the rhinestones on it because I don't want to take the couple of minutes to walk to the other room and pull them out of the little craft bin. All right, so there's our card. I'm going to switch out now to the one that has the rhinestones. Ta-da! And I just did 3 simple little placements, just enough to kind of sparkle it up. And I think it is offset with those soft colors in a really nice way. So there is our completed card project from Stamp Club in June of 2026. Be sure and look for the other 2 videos from this month's projects. I can't wait for you to see them. And as I always do, I'll put some helpful information for you below this video in the drop down box. And you'll find some links there for shopping and some other helpful links as well. So be sure and take a look at that. I love to hear your comments. Make sure that you let me know what you thought of today's project, and I hope that you will make one of these very soon. See you next time.